is up, my ninjas? I'm Strydent, and I am here with my recent Marvel Legends pickups. I know I had said that I was swearing them off with the exception of 90s X-Men characters, but there's a bunch of them here that I actually kind of wanted that I didn't think about. Then I saw them and impulse buy, but you know, I'm happy to have them. There are two characters here that I didn't really want to, I wasn't going to buy, and I don't think they're that amazing, but you know, I got them anyway. They were gifts. But a bunch of cool ones like the X-Men figures, because you know 90s X-Men, that's my era, and I love those characters, and we desperately need those characters represented. Then we got Miles Morales, a good Miles Morales that has the right proportions, and you know we need brown characters, we need more of them, you know, properly represented in toy form. Got a classic, you know, 80s Jim Lee style Punisher, which is pretty dope because Punisher is another one of my favorites. We got this guy. I don't really have too much to say about him. He was gifted to me and it was for a specific reason, and I will get to that. Then we have the much needed Falcon from the movie, from Civil War, from, you know, Winter Soldier, etc., that's actually in scale now. And then for those of you who need this, you have a movie cap. I already have what I consider the best cap, you know, period, as far as films go, but, you know, people seem to need this, so. But Rogue, come on, you know, you guys all know about the previous Rogue, how lame she was, so we finally get a beautiful Rogue figure. And lastly, the King of Wakanda himself in his movie attire, and it's a pretty dope figure, and I'm glad we finally got him. So let me get into why all this shit is awesome and what's good about it. Alright, my ninjas, let's start with the Punisher. So, this is the Walgreens exclusive Punisher. ODC, that's me, hooked me up with him. And it's funny because, like, as usual, they weren't in the stores at all when him and I were having this conversation. And this was months and months ago. But we were having the conversation about these guys, and there was, like, no sign of them in the stores. Then shortly after that conversation, you know, this gets here. I had been to Walgreens like 2 or 3 times, and he's like plentiful. I'm talking like peg warming like a motherfucker, and that's what always seems to happen with these guys. But he was pretty cool. This is me. We're just gonna talk about these guys. You know what I mean? I'm not. It's a review, a light review. Some of the parts I had put away already, so you know I don't have everything out. But I don't really feel the need to go into all the details. He comes with an extra head. The extra head does not look as good as this head. He's got like a 5 o'clock shadow, and there's something odd about the proportions on that other head, so I kept this head on him. I feel like this one actually represents the character a little bit better, especially from that period of time when Jim Lee was drawing the Punisher. As for his weapons, he came with a bazooka. He came with I think this is and I could be wrong, maybe he didn't come with this, but I have like a crap load of weapons that I gave to him. It's like stuff that came from like True Heroes and whatnot. And they're all the right scale for him. He did come with a hog. I don't think it's this hog, but he did come with a hog. Got a FAMAS. ODC mentioned all this stuff in his video. This came from one of the Nick Fury figures. One of the many Nick Fury figures. Here's an old school RPG launcher. Here is a shoddy, old school style. Here is a new school shoddy. He did come with a shoddy, but his shoddy looked like pure crap, so I probably threw it away or threw it in the box of shit. Here is a Beefeater. This is from Trigun. This is the McFarlane Trigun Beefeater. I like this figure, and he's holding the sawed-off from the NECA Dante figure from Devil May Cry. So I dig this figure. My big thing is you have to do a lot, though, to change him up to make him look worthy. For instance, he came with the same pistol that, like, the whatchamacallit pistol that Baron Zemo comes with, and that Madam Hydra came with, and a lot of other characters came with. So I was like, no, not on my watch. So I got rid of that shit and gave him And you can kind of see it from here. I got rid of that shit and gave him an old school Raging Bull. That is also a Chapmay product. It came with the one of the many Chapmay vehicles that I bought because they always give you a gang of weapons. I really like the, actually, I'm not even going to talk about what I like first. They did a very good job sculpting him with all the gear. This is the thing that I like that sometimes Marvel Legends gets right, and back in the day they used to get it right all the time, is they would sculpt the character, and then they wouldn't just have the bodysuit and the paint and the blah blah blah. They would have all these pieces. Case in point, here is the Toy Biz Punisher. I love this figure. It's still my favorite Punisher figure. I mean, when you look at him, you see all the detail that's on him. I mean, he has pockets. He has, you know, padding. Let me point at this shit while I'm talking. I'm sorry. You see the knee pads. You see pockets, you know what I mean, that are part of the sculpt. You know, the pockets on his belt. These are clips. The gloves are a different texture than the shirt. Then the boots they're biker boots. I actually have a pair of boots like this, except mine are black. Let me turn them all the way to the side so you can see all the straps and shit. I mean, look at that. And then meanwhile, they didn't do it so much, but this is what he looked like in the comics, so it's cool that they put this stuff. You know, he's got pockets, he's got the clips, he's got the ammunition here, the grenades, he should have had 2 holsters on the sides, but you get the idea, you know what I mean? So he feels tactical, and the Punisher should always feel tactical. I mean, that's how you get the point across with that character. This one obviously has a better paint job as far as like making him look washed out and like he's been in the trenches doing stuff and he's kind of dirty. He's got his 5 o'clock shadow. I mean, you kind of can't compare. It's hard to compare these two. Because this one just feels more, this feels like Romita's artwork. This obviously feels like Jim Lee's artwork. Jim Lee always had a more slick style. Romita can do slick, but then he can also do kind of grimy. Romita Jr. So, you know, and I left him with future weapons because this Punisher would always steal weapons from like S.H.I.E.L.D. or from some organization that makes crazy shit, you know, Hammer or whatever, and use that against the bad guys he was fighting. And he tended to fight more superhuman threats, whereas classic Punisher would fight more, you know, real world threats, you know, drug dealers, that kind of shit. Killers, murderers, that kind of shit. Well, I'm dropping everything, but let's play around with him holding some weaponry. Here he is properly holding a scar. Looks really nice. It doesn't look cheesy. He looks official, you know. I like that. It's the way it should always be. You know, it's not a bad figure at all. You know the articulation, so I'm not going to really go through that. This vest, I mean, it's not even a vest. This shoulder holster strap combination, it does get in the way, especially on the side with the grenades. Let me show you that up close. Yeah, the way the grenades are sculpted and the way they sit against his pecs and his, you know, armpit, they're too much in the pit, so putting his arm down is a hassle. Now, it's made of a pliable plastic, so you can kind of move it out of the way if you want to move his arm a little bit lower, or if you want him to, you know, hold his gun with 2 hands. It takes a little bit of finagling, but you can get it to work. I mean, I got it to work. Let's check it out. Now, if you pose his arms the right way above the grenades, you can see the grenades are below. If you push his arm in at the shoulder above the grenades, then he can actually, you know, kind of double palm his pistol. And it works better that way. So, you know, they've done some cool things here. They actually kind of did a good job trying to compensate for sculpt issues. But yeah, he's a quality figure. If you see him, which you probably will, pick him up. He's worth it if you give a shit about the Punisher, you know. And I'm pretty sure a whole bunch of bandwagoners are going to jump on the bandwagon now that we have the Netflix Punisher coming up. So he's definitely one to watch. And like I said, all these other weapons that I picked up, from all the various Chapmay things that I picked up, they're worth it. You know what I mean? They work really well with him. You won't have any problems, you know, trying to pose him with a little arsenal. So yeah, that's the Punisher from Walgreens.
Now, before I close, I just want to show you that's him holding his Beefeater with two hands. I kind of pushed his hands a little bit closer. And then here he is holding one of the Chapman shotguns. He looks official, man. Like, so yeah, this guy's a win. Thanks, ODC, for hooking me up with him. Let's move on to our next guy. Now we have ugly-ass classic Daredevil. I'm not a Daredevil fan at all. The show was all right. They did some cool things. They did some lame things. Overall, it was good, but I only got him for one reason, and I'm about to tell you about that now.
Now, Daredevil. Now, this is going to be really quick because I'm not even a fan of Daredevil. I don't really like this costume. You know, it's grown on me over the couple months that I've had it, but I pretty much, ODC picked this guy up for me. I think he picked up two, so he gave me the extra one. The reason I have him is for that head right there. I mean, don't pretend like y'all don't know. Cyclops, guys. Cyclops. And since we know we're getting the Gemr Cyclops in the next year, I need this head. You know? So that is the only reason why I have this figure here. So if somebody wants or needs this guy, hit me up. Please be respectful. Don't be a douchebag. And we will work something out, and I will probably, you know, send them to you. Maybe we can trade for something. I don't know. But, yeah, perfect. Even though I know this is Hawkeye, I like this look. And I don't have that Hawkeye. And he doesn't look like my Jeremy Renner Hawkeye, which is the only one I have right now because it's my favorite design for the character next to the new one in Civil War. So, yeah, that's what this is going to go to. It's going to go straight up to Cyclops, and then I'm going to call it a day. So, yeah, this is also a Walgreens exclusive, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, and he's plentiful, too. This guy peg-warmed like a motherfucker. I mean, I don't know what it is with some of these designs that they chose to give us. They should have given us a movie, TV series, Netflix, Daredevil. You know what I mean? I don't know why they're holding out on that, but whatever. Anyway, Cyclops, Daredevil, you know what I'm talking about. You smell what I'm cooking.
And now for movie cap from Civil War. This guy, I didn't really need him. He was also just a gift. I guess ODC had two of them or something. I don't know. But he gave me this dude too. I mainly wanted him so I could put him next to this guy so you could see what I'm talking about. It's a good essence of what the movie figure looks like, and I know one is from Age of Ultron and then the other one is from Civil War, color-wise, but design-wise, the elements are still the same. And like I said, the Hasbro one misses a lot of the key elements that still remain even in Civil War, but were just colored differently. So, you know, I'm still going with my SH Figure Arts one. I just will have him in the background. But anyway, Black Panther. This figure right here is an example of why I prefer Marvel Legends movie figures to the standard Legends. He's got detail everywhere. The paint that he has is the necessary paint. I mean, the type of design that he has, you can't really skimp on anything because if you do, then you lose the integrity of the design. And they didn't skimp. They made everything work. About the only gripe I could have is that his claws aren't really that long, but in the film, the claws aren't really that long. They're literally sitting on the tops of his gloves. So it's like, you know, that's a small design choice or a small issue I have with the design that overall is not really an issue. And surprisingly, he's fairly posable. He still can't do a lateral split, but he can do, you know, his scissors are good, so he can do jump back kick and it looks good. So I don't have a problem with that. Mine, the shoulders also work really well, so posing him, you know, doing hand stuff, he's pretty cool. I don't have any issues with him. Now, this guy, it's kind of weird because online, he goes for a lot of money. I went to Walmart one night actually, getting medicine when I was sick. I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And they had like 10 of them. So, you know, this is not one of those figures where you have to buy him online unless you're just that lazy and you don't choose to go outside. Go to Walmart, look for him. Pay the $20. Don't pay $80 for this guy. Don't pay $60 for this guy. Just pay the fucking 20 and call it a day. Now, he doesn't come with anything else except for a Build-A-Figure piece, which was like a leg, and then he comes with an alternate head that actually looks like Chadwick Boseman. It's about time. I mean, there's only a handful of brown people in the MCU. You could at least get their likenesses right. The Don Cheadle likeness is actually not bad on the War Machine figure from a couple waves back, and this one is no different. This one is really good. The only thing they didn't get is the kind of scruffy beard thing he had going, like sideburns into a beard. They're almost like mutton chops. So I'll be putting those on. I shouldn't have to, but I will because it's fucking T'Challa. I got to do it. But I am 100% cool with him. You know, and this is someone who at first I was going to wait for the Figure Arts one, but it seems like I waited too long. So I'm not paying $100 for the Figure Arts version when I could pay 20 for this one, you know, and get a little bit more play out of him and he won't break. But you got to admit, it is dope for us brown people to see all these brown faces that are superheroes in the Marvel Universe, and they're done right in figure form. Miles Morales was a long time coming. The first one was terrible, even though all you typical folks, the usual suspects, said it was so great. Falcon, we had the Marvel Select one, which was awesome, but just huge. Now we have one that can actually be properly put in the, you know, display with the others. So anyway, moving on. A whole bunch of 90s X-Men stuff is starting to pop up now. We're going to have Shatterstar soon. We're going to have Cyclops sometime next year. I'm just hoping that they round it off when we get a whole bunch of people. Dazzler is in there somewhere. It's like, I want not the 70s Dazzler. I want the 80s and early 90s Dazzler. And I want a new long shot. I don't know, I like them from back in the day. But anyway, like, these guys are pretty well done. I didn't bother to look for all the other guys. I had never seen Deadpool in the store. Not that I want Deadpool, but I'm just saying there's a lot of scalpers going nuts. I've actually seen Rogue in the store a handful of times since I got mine. So, you know, it's kind of dope that they actually, you know, managed to get these guys out there, and you could find them in the store. So I'm going to start off with Rogue. We're going to look at what makes her pretty dope. Now, this is the Jim Lee style Rogue. It's the Rogue we all wanted, and it really, really, really does the character justice. It's 1,000% better than what we were forced to get at. I mean, this figure from head to toe was atrocious, even by the standards of the previous line, you know? With all the shortcomings, it was fucking horrible. I mean, look at this shit. Really? Rogue was sexy. Rogue was, you know, she had some kind of fire to her, you know? She was cool, and that they didn't give us that figure for so long. I mean, I had old Toy Biz 5-inch figures that look better than that. But anyway, this one does it. This one has the body, you know, the shape, the face. She can stand heroically. You can give her a little bit of, you know, hip motion if you need to. She just looks like the character that we all had, you know, liked from back in the day. They even got the boots right. And the only issue I have is that instead of just sculpting those parts above the knee joint, they're actually movable parts. So I glued them in place so that they look like they're part of the sculpt. So like on the top piece, you have the top cuff, and then you have like the band on the lower half. But I glued them in place, and that's good. But I mean, look at the face. She's beautiful. Granted, a problem with today's Marvel Legends is that they all have the same face. Some kind of variation on the same face. But this one looks good. They even gave her an extra hand, an ungloved hand, so that you can have her actually, you know, steal people's powers like she used to do, which is dope. But, I mean, she just looks good in every single way, shape, and form. I mean, I know I've seen somewhere the eyes were a little bit far apart, but, I mean, everything, down to the X on the sleeve. It's not outlined, but it's red, and it makes sense. That's what they had. This is the Cyclops from X-Men versus Street Fighter. It's a 5-inch figure. But he came with the actual leather jacket, and look, it's got the X on it the way we remember it. But she looks good. She's a little taller than the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Gambit, which I didn't initially want because I always felt like he looked like he was homeless or something. But that figure grew on me. I like his posability. I like his sculpt and everything. And seeing the two of them together, it's like he's got that kind of funkiness to him that standing opposite her, they actually look like, you know, and so what if he's a little shorter? It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are women like that. You know, they're a little taller than the guys who love them. I would love this shit. I would have never mind having a chick taller than me. You know, that's a lot of woman. But in this case, it's not that bad, you know. So Kitty Pryde, it's the throwback modern era X-Men uniform. And this figure was kind of like a sleeper hit to me. I didn't really hear too many people talk about her, but me and ODC were talking about her a lot, and she's just a beautiful figure. They gave her a healthier body type than the previous one. The suit is more of the old school, almost New Mutants-ish kind of X-Men suit. It has, this figure has a beautiful face sculpting. It's real subtle, real simple. She's beautiful. They did a good job. There's no slop. I was impressed. Her hands, you know, the fist and then the open hand, so you can have her in those cool Shadow Cat type poses, or those typical, you know, Kitty Pryde being awkward or something poses, and it works. She doesn't look bad. She looks real good alongside Colossus, as she should, because that's the way we see them in the comics. I just dig her proportions, and I dig the way things work. Now, the belt you might have to glue down in the back so that it doesn't flop all over the place, but if you wanted to, then there you go. She even looks good next to other characters. I figured I'd put her next to the Ultimate Thor, because she had a place in Ultimate Spider-Man, and you did see her alongside the Ultimates and stuff. But she looks awesome, obviously, with her fellow X-Men. And this is the only Professor X I have, so give me a break. He's the most perfect casting in that series. That's why I have this toy, but she looks good. I was really, really impressed with this figure. I didn't think I was gonna be, but I was thoroughly impressed with this figure. So, you know, props to them for that. And then Lockheed looks good. Just makes me want a Megan figure. We need Megan. We need all of Excalibur, like properly done. Classic Excalibur. Anyway, Wolverine in his classic uniform. This was after the tiger stripes that he was initially introduced in. Toy Biz did their version. I have that version, and I'll show you it. It's a custom. It's got metal claws, but this one is pretty dope. My only gripe with him, I have two gripes actually. He's got the calm, stern face, and he should have had like a screaming face with his fangs all showing and stuff. And then the claws, because they're removable, and they shouldn't be. They're removable. They wobble around. You can see the back fist, the two of the claws constantly kind of bend towards one another, and it seems to be an issue that just about everyone has, unless you put something in his knuckles to keep it from moving. But besides that, it's pretty dope to have a short Wolverine again that's got, you know, kind of streamlined articulation and can flip and, you know, be jumping all over the place and look properly. You know, he looks properly. He looks proper in those poses and stuff, you know. I like this figure a lot. This guy, it's kind of strange because he's really hard to find. Initially, I didn't realize, I thought they were Walgreens exclusives, so I went to a Walgreens and asked the manager if he could let me know when they get a new set of these guys in, and they did. That's how I got him and Rogue. But typically, I don't see Wolverine in the stores, and I've been to Toys R Us a lot since these guys dropped. He's just really posable, really well done. And I dig just about everything. I mean, it's kind of weird that they're revisiting stuff that Toy Biz did, because this is one of the few figures I think Toy Biz did a good job with. I shouldn't say one of the few, but it's one of the figures that they did really well. So it almost feels like it's unnecessary, but you know, I guess they know how OCD the fan base is, so they want to appease everybody, you know? And I guess they're doing a good job.
So old Wolvie here is pretty dope. He comes with just 2 extra hands. They are fists with the claws retracted, which are pretty nice, just like in the old days. But the strange thing is that I'm going to swap out one of those hands so I can show you what I'm talking about. The strange thing is, so you would think that if he's going to have the retracted hands, the claws would be fixed, you know what I mean, in his body. Instead, you can still pull the claws out, like that release that came out earlier, you know, in the cycle. So it's kind of strange that they did that. So like, what was the point of this? I mean, it's cleaner, but I mean, if you take all the claws off, you still have a fist, you know, and it doesn't look bad. So I don't know, but that's all there is for him. His belt is a single piece. It's beautiful. Just design wise, they did a really good job with this throwback Wolverine. This is my Wolverine from when I was a kid, and I dig him because he is a little stockier than my previous Toy Biz one, even though I have metal claws in my Toy Biz Wolverine. Give me just a second while I get him set up. And I ended up having to put super glue over the entrance to those claws, but he still looks freaking amazing. So it's kind of weird, you know, seeing another version of the same guy. They're roughly about the same size, same height, roughly the same build, only the Toy Biz one has skinnier legs, but it's a pretty decent upgrade. And these colors, I got my pointer, sorry. The colors on this one are more in line with the real classic, you know, John Byrne stuff, the old, even when Frank Miller was writing Wolverine, it's that type shit. And I dig that. So, you know, we got a throwback. I'm telling you, this is my era of comics. I was so into these X-Men. You know, all the new shit they did since the 2000s, not feeling it. Going back to the old stuff, loving it. So, that is Wolverine. Pretty dope ass figure. So, as of right now, I don't know what these two are going for on the secondary market. I'm pretty sure they both go for a pretty penny because Wolverine always does. And, you know, these are two of the better ones. But, you know, with this being a new one that's classic, I'm pretty sure he's fairly expensive. But if you do happen to see him at your Toys R Us or your local Walgreens or something, I would pick him up. He's definitely worth it.
Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man. This guy I've been waiting for. I was going to get both of them, but I figured, you know, forget it. I'll just get him. I saw Spidey, you know, Peter Parker, but I didn't pick him up, and now I don't see him anywhere. But this figure right here, this was the whole purpose of them making that body, you know, because Ultimate Peter Parker, I mean, I don't know, I don't follow the new books, but Ultimate Peter Parker is dead, so there was no real reason, in my opinion, for them to make another Spider-Man. And if you're going to have a teenage Spider-Man, it should be this guy. It's just crazy, though. Remember back when everybody was all racist and a Spider-Man is supposed to be a white guy. He's Peter Parker. He can never be the real Spider-Man. Is always going to be Peter Parker. You know what I mean? Ugh, it's like comic book nerds. What the fuck, man? Jesus Christ. But they managed to make this character his own thing. He's fitting that role really well. And, you know, some of us brown folks are happy that we got another character to fit into the world of billions of Spider-Man figures and characters that's actually cool. You know, he's actually a pretty cool character all on his own. I'm not a big fan of the books themselves because I don't really read Marvel books anymore like I used to, but I like the character, I like the idea behind him, and I would have taken him in another direction. What I'm happy about with this figure is, as you can see, even though he doesn't have the joints on his toes, he still can pose like a Spider-Man. Elbows and knees. He can squat, he can balance in these squatting poses, and he can balance on one hand without any type of help. Believe it or not, it took me like 10 tries to get him to sit up like that, and I put him up on the stand, because these stands are actually pretty strong. They lock into place, they've got ratchet joints, and he stayed up there. I have no issues doing it. That is him holding himself up. I was impressed. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, I can do this kind of shit with figure arts. Why is it that the Spider-Man figures aren't engineered? And I don't know if this was on purpose, that they engineered him to be able to do this, or if it's just a byproduct of the parts that they used. But yeah, that's a Spider-Man figure right there, who can do some cool shit, you know? This is what I was complaining about. And even though he can't do a full split, he can do closer to a split than most of the Legends figures can, and that makes me a little bit happier because when I pose him, I can get his knees up there and he can jump around and look like a Spider-Man. That's all I'm asking for, you know? The usual suspects always complain and try to tell you that you're crazy for asking for the obvious stuff that the figure should have, and, you know, inadvertently, we got it here. The alternate head is unmasked Miles Morales. Looks like Miles Morales. I mean, a lot of different artists draw him a lot of different ways, so, you know, you can't really talk about likeness, but as far as him being brown, having the Caesar, and looking young, there you go. You know, that works for me. So I'm really happy with this guy. It's a good addition to my very modest Spider-Man collection since I sold a whole bunch of Spider-Man figures last year. Civil War, Falcon, and Red Wing. This is what I was waiting for. Falcon is my favorite thing next to the Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, I should say next to Cap in the Black Panther, it's Falcon. As you can see, I gave him MP5s because he doesn't come with any guns. None whatsoever. Not even the whatchamacallit guns that a lot of Marvel Legends come with. He doesn't come with anything like that. He just comes with his wings and Redbird closed up to fit on his backpack, and Redbird opened up flying in remote drone mode. He looks real cool with Cap. I mean, he looks cool, period, but it looks really cool to see these two together because they have a history. You know, two characters that should have always been paired together, and it's kind of surprising that it took until Civil War, or I'm sorry, Winter Soldier, really until Age of Ultron and such for you to really get to see him. But Civil War really put him out there where you get to see him doing his own thing. Complaint: he needed guns and he needed articulated wings, because in the very opening scene of the film, you see him using his wings in these specific formations, you know, to guard him from being shot. And you can't do any of that shit with these wings. You can just make him fly. And I'll give them props for how they colored him, how they colored the wings and everything like that. The paint is really good. It's really clean. I don't have slop on him. But there's still areas where more paint could have been put on him. But you know me. I point these things out because I collect higher end figures. Most of you guys won't really care about that shit. They did a good job with him. He has two different gauntlets. This is his left hand, and I'm going to show you the right. And you know there's buttons hidden on the left hand for him to control Red Wing, which is pretty cool. That gauntlet on the left hand is bigger. You'll see it, or longer, covers more of his hand. So that's pretty dope. My gripe with him, design-wise, the figure design-wise, you know, or engineering-wise, he's got the gummy elbow joint, and he feels too skinny, like in the elbow and in the forearm area. It's like, I feel like his arms should have been bigger. Those arms don't look right for the body type that we have, and you know, Anthony Mackie was not a little dude. And I think like the suit, it's like a short sleeve shirt where the shoulder armor stops. They could have sculpted that, you know what I mean? And then sculpt the proper elbow joints, you know? Because he wasn't as big as Cap, but he wasn't tiny, you know what I'm saying? And you can see all the detailing that's lacking on this figure. But, you know, still, look at those arms. Like, that's just not cool. And like, I straightened them out with some hot water and all that good stuff, but it's still missing, you know what I mean? Like, it still feels light, in my opinion. I don't know what you would necessarily do to fix him other than sculpt bigger joints, but you know, whatever. They're holding together, and he looks good with the other guys. It's just I feel like he kind of got shat on when it comes to that, because he's not that much smaller in the show than in the films than some of his co-stars. But putting him in action is fun, man. Having wings that work and having, you know, him go up against like Spider-Man and all the other guys, he just looks the part, and I really dig that. It's one of those times where they actually manage to capture the essence of the character so well that you can't really complain. And then there's Red Wing, the drone. A lot of people had issues with the drone because I guess they expected him to have a real bird. I kind of did too, but the way that the series is taking Captain America, it's more Metal Gear and less Kick-Ass, you know what I mean? Less X-Men, less, you know, superpowers, and more military technology and shit like that. So I don't really have issues with that. I think Redbird looks cool. You have the version that's folded up on the backpack and the open remote version. I was impressed with this guy, and it continues the tradition of doing a good job giving you an essence of the movie characters. Now, would I have liked more detail? Yes. Would I have liked better engineering around like elbows and knees and stuff? Yes. Would I have liked ab crunches that actually work on him? Because his ab crunch works in one direction, and that's going back, and that's a problem that so many Marvel Legends have. But it doesn't. He can't crunch forward very much. That's as much as I can get him to crunch. I wish it had more. That would have been dope. But I just am really cool what they gave us. But I hate the fact that they left out the guns. I hate the fact that I have to dig into stuff like this. These are the Halo SMGs. They look really good because they're small. MP5s look a little bit nice, you know, just almost as nice, but they're kind of big. When in reality, his guns are nice and compact and small. So there's no reason why they couldn't have done that shit. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of disappointed about that. And I'm disappointed in the lack of paint. You know, he should add more paint on his person. Also, this is a detail on the wings that they completely forgot. And it's those little handles so that you could actually have him hold the wings to, you know, add support to the wings in the backpack. They don't stay in the backpack perfectly if you put them in the right way. If you curve them outward and put them under, then they work really well. But yeah, he should have had those. It's not like it's that hard to do. But without that, you still end up with a really dope figure. This is the wings put in on the top of the backpack, you know, on the top of the holes. This here is, I think this is also on top because they're curving up, you know, backwards away from him. But you can put them underneath and they'll actually curve the other way, which is pretty dope. You also have to switch them, you know, so the left goes in the right and the right goes in the left. But yeah, he looks beautiful flying around. It looks right, man. It looks really right. It's a good showing, you know. They painted him well with the paint that you do get. The sculpt is pretty good. The designs just look, you know, it looks good. It definitely mirrors the film the way that it should. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not complaining at all. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Marvel Legends, some movie designs I really love. And the only way you can get them without having to wait forever is to get them in this format. And since they made them, I kind of want to get them. So I have the ones I like. Got my XMen fix, got my Punisher fix going, got me a new Spiderman, you know. Shit, even got a Daredevil back there that I'm not really big on in the first place, but you know, he'll serve his purpose and he'll fit in the, you know, the Marvel stamp. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. Just wanted to talk about Marvel Legends for a little bit in a mostly positive light, and yeah, that's it for me. You've been great. Peace outside.